obligations under the law, under the Can-Spam Act with regards to the email marketing that you are doing. Now, email marketing is also regulated in how you can do it, and the way you do it is also regulated. And the reason is because you don't want to confuse the consumer. They also want to protect the consumer from fraud or from things that just not needed. And so the Can-Spam Act kind of governs that area of the email process of your business. Now, some of the legal obligations that you have, there's about 6 of them. Number 1 is using a truthful header. And what does that mean? The header means where it's coming from. Who is this contact that's sending you something? So you have to give the right address, the email address. You also have to give your right contact information and a phone number or a physical address as well. So that way the domain name is correct also. So they know who to access and they know who to talk to if they need to talk to somebody, or if they need to file a complaint, they know who to file a complaint for. And that way there is no confusion on who is sending that information. And so you need to have a truthful header information as well. Number 2 is that it can't be misleading. The subject line cannot be misleading. The subject line needs to be relevant to what's actually in the content of that email. So whether it's a newsletter or whether it's a promotion or whether it's anything like that, it needs to be relevant to what's in the newsletter or to that email that you're sending out to them. So then that's what the subject line needs to be. It can't be saying something, but then the reality is something totally different. And so that's misleading and that's not okay and is frowned upon by the government. Number 3, which I see a lot of us not doing, is that you need to identify the message as an ad. And so there's 3 types of messages. There's transactional emails that are being sent out, and those are generally like, okay, I am paying this much and this is my invoice or this is that bill. Those are transactional in nature. Then you have one that's relationship in nature. And those are where you've already have a relationship with somebody and you're just talking to them about changes in products or services, or you're updating them about certain things about their relationship that they might have with your business. And then you have other non-commercial emails. But you also have commercial emails. So there's 4 types in general. So like the 4th one is the commercial emails, and those are where your ads, your promotions are happening. And sometimes it could be with third parties, or it could be with somebody that you're collaborating with. And so you need to make sure that your email kind of says that. And it doesn't have to be like ad, but it also shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm just going to do this for fun. And hey, look at this. This is so beautiful. You want to buy it? It's just spell it out. Be clear about it. And the reason is because you don't ultimately want the consumer to be confused. This is all to protect the consumer, the reader, the user. And so there's clarity, there is transparency at the same time. And so spell it out. Let them know that this is an ad. And it doesn't have to be, oh, like hashtag ad that you need to have on your stories, because that is also required if you are promoting something. So you want to say that this is an ad. However, whichever way you might want to say that, you need to kind of make it clear that it's an ad. There's really no clear way of doing it. There's no identified way of communicating this as well. But as long as the message is clear about it and there's no confusion on whether this is something that you're promoting or whether you're not promoting it, then you should be okay. Now, number 4 that you need is that you need to tell recipients where you're located. So it needs to have an address, a physical address of your location. Just like earlier, where you need to have a truthful header of where the email is coming from, who the email is coming from, the domain is correct also. Similarly, in this, you need to also have the physical address, and it needs to be a clear postal address, and not just some random address that no one can actually reach you on. So it has to be a real address that somebody can actually physically reach you on. Number 5, monitor what other parties are doing on your behalf. So you might have hired a company to send out emails, or you might be working with a third party that's giving you services through online services or whatever. But either way, whoever you're working with, 1, you need to make sure that they're aligned with your values and your mission of your business. Number 2, you want to make sure also that they have a good reputation in the market and in the industry, because now you are connecting yourself with them. And number 3, you need to monitor at the end of the day. You don't have to be micromanaging, but you need to monitor. You need to make sure that the message they're sending is accurate, it's truthful. And also the business processes and procedures that they're working on is honest and it's genuinely aligned with what your business is doing and how it's doing. So you need to monitor third-party actors in your business as well. Because what can happen is that ultimately, if they do something wrong, you can be held responsible for it too. And you might have all the contracts in the world that indemnify you, but sometimes that just doesn't work and you can't contract out responsibility or accountability. And that is a thing. And so make sure you monitor them and you are abreast of what their practices are and what they're doing for your business. And if it's working for your business and if it's aligned with your privacy policy or with the other things that you do in your business. And number 6, super important, make sure the unsubscribe is available. It needs to be clear. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be obvious, and you need to honor it. If somebody says unsubscribe me, honor it, because if you don't, it can actually become problematic and it could cause extra fees or sanctions that you just don't want to face. And what could happen is that if you're not following the rules or complying with them, you can face fees, and it could just cause a lot of financial burden that you could absolutely avoid. And so with that being said, here are some tangible ways to collect emails effectively, but also in a way that is in compliance. So just as a recap, let's talk quickly about the fact that 1, we need a privacy policy that is explaining to everybody how, who, what, where, why we are collecting personal information, and make sure it aligns with the way your business is actually functioning. Number 2 is to make sure that, yes, you have a privacy policy now in place, but you also want to make sure that you're in compliance with other countries that you might be having a lot of users coming from. And so check out their privacy policies, see if it's in alignment with what you've written, and also comply with what their requirements are. Number 3, when you are sharing information with others through email, that is also governed by the CAN-SPAM Act, and that is also has parameters. So like we discussed, the 6 parameters or the 6 things that you need to kind of make sure that you are in compliance with, so don't forget those. Now, finally, how can we collect emails legally? What are some ways and some options to collect the emails legally? So one is opt-ins. We all have those free opt-ins, freebies that we're giving out, resources that we're giving out. Totally fine, as long as you have your privacy policy that is ever apparent right there for them to actually read, and affirmative, yes, I acknowledge it, yes, I have read it, and yes, I agree to it. So have all of those things available and have the affirmative action of acknowledgement and of agreement as well. Other ways also is through Facebook, Google Ads, third parties. Now, a lot of times third parties have their own privacy policies, and so they're responsible for sharing that with their users. But at the end of the day, just make sure that those third parties are aligned with you and how you're functioning and how your business is functioning. And so great ways to collect emails is through Facebook ads and Google ads and other mechanisms like that. Other ways to collect the email legally is through your website itself. It's through the pop-up boxes that show up on your website, or through a newsletter sign up or something like that. But again, have the privacy policy available for them to see before they sign up. And another way to legally collect email addresses is from a reputable source, a source that a lot of times people say, you know, you shouldn't be buying emails, but if your email is coming from a reputable source and it's also coming from a place that kind of has the market that you're looking for or the industry that you are trying to target, then it may not be a bad idea. As long as you're letting them know that, hey, listen, I'm sending this out to you. This is an ad, and here's an unsubscribe if you don't want to get these emails from me anymore. So all in all, make sure that you have your information that you are sharing with everybody is clear, it's available, it's accessible, and it is obvious. It's not hidden somewhere, and that there's consent at the end of the day from your subscriber or from your user. And when they have given you that consent, it's not a consent that you've automatically checkboxed yourself, but it's a consent that they have to affirmatively check for you, that they agree with it, they understand it, they have read it, and they're okay with you sending them emails and sending them information that is not just maybe promotional, but also new information and marketing material as well.